So I'm going to begin with just a line of questions. By the way, it's great to have our chairman of the full committee here. It shows the importance of this subcommittee and the topics we're tackling today. I will begin my questioning for all 6 witnesses. So please try to be brief. It's going to focus on bad news, good news, and flexibilities. So what do I mean? You've already touched on it. General Spain, you did a good job. The CR, right? I think from a readiness standpoint, none of us think this is helpful. What would be worse, in my view, is a government shutdown. So the impact of the CR, and then very importantly, and General Mingus, you and I had the opportunity to talk about this yesterday, flexibilities that you would like us to provide you in the future NDAAs on budgeting. That's a topic that when we deal with these CRs, unfortunately, it's been a way of life for our military for many years. It's a failure on the part of Congress. But what kind of flexibilities do you need to be more ready that you could use? And this could be very broad or very specific. And then the good news, very quickly, we've had a turnaround in recruiting. I think it has a lot to do with some of the comments I made in my opening statement, where the last 4 years our military was not focused on lethality and war fighting and why young men and women join to fight and defend their country. It was focused on other stuff, irrelevant stuff, and it hurt recruiting. Why do you think, where are you on recruiting, and why do you think there's been such a dramatic turnaround? So those are the questions I'd like each of you to answer. We'll start in the lineup here. General Mingus, if you can hit on all 3 of those.
Thank you, Chairman. A full year-long continuing resolution impact, yes. To the degree and the severity is unknown, as was kind of talked about earlier, based on the anomalies that come out of this, the puts and takes in the various lines in the budget, what is plussed up and not. We'll have to take a couple of days to kind of fully, if it is actually enacted before the end of the week, the true impact. But new starts, spending limits, spending power and buying power, those are critically the ones that always rise to the top. And we've never had a year-long continuing resolution. This will be the first for the Department of Defense. So a lot to be determined in terms of what those impacts are going to be. Flexibility, sir, you and I talked about this last night. We all submitted a J-book and a budget almost 18 to 20 months before we actually see an enactment in an appropriation. A lot can happen in that 18 to 20 months. Every line of accounting, every piece of equipment, every radio has its own individual line within the J-books that come back in our budget line items on the back end of appropriations. For high-tech things, UAS, counter-UAS, high-tech command and control systems that evolve at a rate faster than our budget cycle, we would like to compress those lines to allow us to move in year of execution those monies to new things that come online in year of execution.
If you can work with us, all the services with regard to language on the those kind of flexibilities are really important, I think needed, and something that we could work on to get in the NDAA.
Sir. And I yield my time to the others because I went pretty deep in recruiting.
Just for the committee's sake, real quick here, I mean, we talked about it, but just for on the record, I think it's important for lessons learned on recruiting.
Who you recruit, where you recruit, how we recruit, more professionalization of our recruiting force, expanding the population, all those things that we've been working for the last 18 to 24 months, we believe are coming to fruition this year. We've seen momentum unlike we have seen in probably a decade. We're at 50% ahead of where we were last year, 73% of missions. So as I said in my opening statement, just over 44,000 of a mission of 61,000. I think as you and I talked last night, we're going to have the opposite problem we did a couple years ago where come this summer, we may have an end strength that's actually bigger than what we have an appropriations for. But
well, again, maybe we can work on that. Admiral, and again, I'll yield time back. These are important questions, but we'll get through all of them. Go ahead, Admiral.
Sure. Hey, 2 bit buckets. One, the CR.
Yep.
Major impact on us. We've gotten used to partial CRs. As General Mingus says, this is our first full year CR. So we'll have to figure that out. And we're looking forward to flexibility, anomalies, authorities to address the kind of things that General Mingus talked about. Let me just use one specific example. 2 years ago, probably a little more than 2 years ago, we were thinking about counter-UAS. We weren't thinking about counter-UAS from the perspective that we've grown to appreciate in the Red Sea.
Yeah.
So the ability to turn quickly and use money and have the flexibility to address those things, as we're trying to do with the Ford Strike Group, where we're bolting on systems that are more effective for counter-UAS, like Coyote and Roadrunner. Those are all appreciated and hard to do in a CR. So I'd give you that piece, that the flexibilities, and for us to work through it. There's a merge with the next topic, which is recruiting. We've made some progress in the Navy, as the other services have. We have stormed the problem. We understand, and you and I went over, and Ranking Member Hirono and I discussed what we did in the Navy to break down the problem and understand what it takes to make a productive recruiter. So I think there's renewed focus and clarity on that. We've done the things General Mingus has described, where we've spread to zip codes to get every available person into the Navy, and we're ahead of goal. Right now, our projection was 12,000 contracted. We've contracted 14,000. We were supposed to have 12.2 thousand shipped. We've shipped 12.7 thousand. So we're ahead of goal. I'm very concerned about the CR and the impact on that machine and slowing it down. So for us, we want to maintain course and speed, accelerate, and bring in all the people we need to close down our gaps at sea. CR makes that a little more challenging.
Great. I'm going to yield back to Senator Hirono. I'll get through this line of questioning. I do want to do a recognition, Admiral, to the sailors and Marines who have been deploying all over the world, and in the Red Sea in particular. You know, remarkable performance in terms of shooting down all the incoming missiles and drones at your ships. My understanding, it's the most combat that the Navy's undertaken in terms of serious missile threats to our ships since World War II, and you've done it incredibly well. So to all the sailors and Marines on those deployed ships for the great job they've done, thank you from the entire United States.